Welcome to the Common Clarity Podcast, a space for real conversations that inspire growth, connection, and purpose. I'm India, and in every episode we share stories and insights to help you live with calm and lead with clarity. Whether you're tuning in from home, at work, or on the go, we're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that really touches almost everyone, managing stress and anxiety. And we're going to have a particular focus on insights relevant for women.
Yeah.
We've gathered a whole stack of sources for this deep dive, everything from, practical coping skill lists right through to detailed clinical research on hormones, brain function.
All the sciencey stuff.
Exactly. Our mission really is to understand why. Why does anxiety affect so many people, especially women? And then, most importantly, how can we cultivate some genuine resilience, in our daily lives?
And this is such an essential conversation. I mean, because when you really get the science underneath it all, it can completely transform how you approach your own well-being.
Yeah.
This deep dive, it's not just about listing things off. It's about giving you those practical strategies and the bigger picture, the context, so you feel, truly informed and empowered.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's zero in on this landscape of anxiety. What's the latest clinical research actually telling us about how common it is, particularly for women? It feels like a pretty stark reality for many.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really striking from the research, anxiety is the most commonly diagnosed psychiatric condition for women.
Wow.
Yeah. Nearly 1 in 3 women will experience an anxiety disorder sometime in their life. That makes them about twice as likely as men to develop one.
Twice as likely.
Right.
Right.
And, while you see discussions online, like on Ask.com or Reddit, people talking about the stress of juggling work, money, parenting, social media pressure. And those are all very real challenges, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
Clinical research confirms those things. But it also points to these deeper underlying mechanisms, biological, psychological, even sociocultural stuff going on.
So when we talk about this kind of pervasive anxiety and stress, what's the bigger impact on our overall health? What does chronic stress actually do to us?
Yeah, it's so important to connect those dots. Chronic unmanaged stress, it can significantly increase your risk for serious health conditions. We're talking heart disease, anxiety disorders themselves, depression. Now, it's really crucial here to remember stress is often a natural kind of acute response to demands, right? But mental health disorders like anxiety and depression, they're more persistent. They can really impair your daily functioning.
That's a key distinction.
Definitely. And that's why the coping tips we're going to share, they're powerful tools for managing day-to-day stress, absolutely. But they aren't a substitute for professional treatment if you're dealing with, a clinical disorder.
Right, absolutely vital distinction. Okay, so let's really dive into the core factors then. What are these multi-layered triggers, the things that contribute to stress and anxiety, particularly in women?
Okay, so we can kind of break these down into different areas. Let's start with the biology, specifically how hormonal changes can significantly influence anxiety risk in women. We see this pop up at several, let's call them vulnerable life stages. Think about premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD. This isn't just typical PMS. It involves really severe anxiety, irritability leading up to menstruation. It can really impact daily life.
Right.
Then you've got pregnancy and the postpartum period. Huge hormonal shifts there, emotional adjustments, plus obviously the massive challenge of caring for a newborn.
Oh, absolutely.
And then later in life, perimenopause and menopause. You get fluctuating, then declining estrogen levels, and that can really ramp up anxiety. Often made worse by sleep problems, which are common then too.
So it really isn't just feeling hormonal. There's a tangible biological basis for these shifts in anxiety.
Exactly.
Can you tell us a bit more about the specific hormones involved? Like which ones are the main players?
Yeah, definitely. So a drop in estrogen and progesterone, which happens, at the end of the menstrual cycle or during perimenopause, they can directly trigger anxiety. Interestingly, low levels of testosterone, which women also have, just less than men, are also linked to things like elevated worry or even panic.
I wouldn't have thought of testosterone.
Right. But it plays a role.
Yeah.
On the flip side, you have oxytocin, often called the love hormone or cuddle hormone. That's been shown to actually reduce stress and anxiety, especially through social connection.
Ah, okay.
And then, of course, the big ones we hear about, cortisol and adrenaline. Your body's stress steroids.
Right.
They get released whenever you perceive a threat, real or not.
Right, the fight or flight response.
Precisely. And if you're all geared up for that fight or flight, but there's no actual physical action to take, like you're stuck in traffic or dealing with a stressful email.
Yeah, just sit there buzzing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those elevated hormones can leave you feeling restless, agitated, anxious, because the physical release didn't happen.
That makes so much sense. Is that why sometimes even after the stressful thing is over, you still feel kind of wired or on edge?
That's a huge part of it. And it can lead to what some researchers call a vicious cycle. See, the sustained production of stress hormones like cortisol can actually suppress testosterone production.
Okay.
And since testosterone also helps regulate cortisol release, having lower testosterone can then trigger another rise in cortisol.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it basically compounds that anxious feeling, makes it harder to come back down to baseline.
So biology is a huge piece. What else contributes? You mentioned other layers.
Right. So beyond the biological, we have sociocultural and environmental stressors, and these often play a huge, sometimes disproportionate role for women.
How so?
Well, statistically, women experience higher rates of exposure to certain traumas, like sexual assault or intimate partner violence. There's also just immense social pressure from often unrealistic standards of beauty, success, amplified, of course, by social media.
Definitely.
Then you add economic inequality, wage gaps, job insecurity, plus the huge, often unpaid burden of caregiving that many women carry. All that contributes to chronic stress.
It's a lot to juggle.
It really is.
Yeah.
And then layer on top the broader societal stuff. Climate anxiety is a big one now. Discrimination, just the constant flood of negative news, general uncertainty, waiting for medical results, financial worries.
Yeah.
It all adds to the load.
Wow. Okay. So environment, culture. What about the psychological factors?
Yeah, psychologically, one key factor often highlighted, particularly for women, is a tendency towards rumination.
Rumination.
Yeah, it's where you repeatedly revisit negative thoughts or problems, like replaying them over and over in your mind.
Oh, I think we all know that feeling.
Right. And the thing is, it prolongs the distress, makes the anxiety much harder to manage or shake off. We also frequently see anxiety overlapping with other conditions like depression or eating disorders, which, complicates the picture even further.
So I've got biology, society, psychology, these layers all interacting. Let's talk about the actual mechanics of stress in the body. How does our nervous system kick in? And how does understanding that help?
Okay, so the science bit. When you experience stress, could be a real danger, could be just a stressful thought, it immediately activates a part of your brain called the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's emotional alarm center.
Okay.
That then triggers the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. That's your body's central command for stress response.
Right.
And that system floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline. At the same time, your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight branch, kicks into high gear. Heart rate up, breathing faster, muscles tense, getting you ready to act.
Got it.
Now, the counterbalance is supposed to be the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest system. It's mediated by the vagus nerve, and its job is to restore calm.
Right.
But under chronic stress, that parasympathetic system can become kind of dysregulated.
Yeah.
It struggles to bring you back to that state of balance effectively.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so given all these triggers, the biology, the environment, how our bodies react, what can you, the listener, actually do when you need some grounding? Our sources were packed with strategies.
Yeah, and it's really vital to frame this by saying behavioral and lifestyle changes are often the most crucial first step. Self-care. It doesn't need to be fancy or expensive. It's just about intentionally tending to your well-being. Again, just to reiterate, these are amazing tools, but they aren't a substitute for professional mental health treatment if things feel really overwhelming or persistent.
Absolutely. So where do we start?
Let's start with movement, physical activity. What's really cool about exercise, whether it's, the CDC's 150 minutes a week recommendation or just a gentle walk, is how it helps your body complete the stress cycle.
Complete the cycle.
Yeah. Remember how the sympathetic nervous system gears you up for fight or flight? Movement helps discharge that stored energy. It signals to your brain, okay, the threat is past, we took action.
Okay.
This helps metabolize those excess stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And it increases calming neurotransmitters like GABA, which helps regulate mood. So whether you like running, yoga, dancing, just a brisk walk, the key is finding something you enjoy and doing it consistently.
It's amazing how physical movement can impact the mental state so directly. Okay, what about things like deep breathing or even humming? They seem so simple, but people swear by them. Is there a real reason they work?
Oh, absolutely. It all comes back to that vagus nerve we mentioned.
Okay.
That nerve is like a direct line to your parasympathetic, your calming nervous system. Deep breathing especially diaphragmatic breathing, breathing deep into your belly, not just shallow chest breaths.
Right.
Or techniques like box breathing, inhale for 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. They directly stimulate the vagus nerve.
And that does what?
It physically slows your heart rate, reduces cortisol, and basically tells your nervous system, okay, time to calm down. Same reason humming or chanting works. The vibrations stimulate the vagus nerve.
Fascinating.
And grounding techniques, like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, naming 5 things you see, 4 you feel, etc., they pull your mind out of the anxious swirl and anchor it right back into the present moment, into your senses.
That's really practical. What about connecting with others?
Hugely important. Social connection, emotional expression, they're vital. Having strong social support is invaluable, obviously.
Yeah.
But even simple, positive physical contact can be incredibly powerful.
Like hugging.
Exactly. Cuddling loved ones, even pets. It releases oxytocin.
The cuddle hormone again.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that lowers cortisol, blood pressure, heart rate. So yeah, calling a friend, actually sharing how you feel, hugging someone, these acts of connection are potent stress relievers.
So connecting outward is key. What about the internal landscape, managing our own thoughts, expressing ourselves?
Great question. That's where cognitive and expressive strategies really shine. Journaling, for instance, super powerful tool. It gives you an outlet, helps you externalize and process what's swirling around in your head. Even simple creative expression, writing, drawing, knitting, whatever it is for you, can be incredibly therapeutic.
Yeah, I find that too.
And another big one, cultivating gratitude. Actually making a list or even just mentally noting things you're grateful for. It sounds simple, but it can really shift your focus away from the anxiety.
Reframes things.
Totally. Same with positive self-talk, using affirmations, focusing on self-compassion. It helps counteract that harsh inner critic that often fuels anxiety. And actively reframing thoughts, looking for a silver lining, maybe turning a tough situation into a learning moment that helps redirect those negative thought patterns.
What about just stopping the thoughts, like when your brain won't shut up?
Managing overthinking. Yeah, that's tough. And women are often more prone to it. A lot of it is about first catching yourself doing it, just noticing, and then gently, consciously accepting what you cannot control in that situation. It's a practice for sure.
Definitely a practice. Okay, you mentioned something earlier that piqued my interest, the gut-brain connection. How does what we eat fit into managing anxiety?
Right. This is such a fascinating area and really relevant. Your gut is often called a second brain, and for good reason. A huge portion, some say up to 90% of your serotonin, that feel-good neurotransmitter, is actually produced in your gut.
Wow, 90%.
Yeah, it's staggering. So your gut health is profoundly linked to your mental state.
Okay, so if our gut is making the happy chemicals, what should we be feeding it? What are the, brain superfoods?
Well, for serotonin production itself, you want foods rich in its precursor, tryptophan. Think turkey, eggs, cheese.
The Thanksgiving nap effect?
Kind of, though it's more complex than that. Then, omega-3 fatty acids. These are absolutely crucial. Found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines. They're literally part of your brain cell structure. Studies show they can help with depression symptoms, improve cognitive function. Really important stuff.
Okay, fish oil. Got it. What else?
Antioxidants. Load up on colorful berries, dark chocolate in moderation, leafy greens. They fight oxidative stress, which is increasingly linked to mental health issues.
Makes sense.
And think about nutrient depletion. Chronic stress can actually deplete your body's magnesium stores. And deficiencies in magnesium and B vitamins can really mess with your stress response system. Some studies have linked magnesium supplements with decreased stress. But definitely talk to your doctor before starting any supplements.
Good caveat. Always check first.
Always.
So that's what to eat more of. What should we try to minimize?
The usual suspects, really. Ultra-processed foods, lots of added sugar, unhealthy fats. Research links these to higher perceived stress and increased risk of depression and anxiety.
Okay.
And caffeine. Look, moderate amounts are fine for most people, but too much can definitely worsen stress and mess with your sleep. General guideline is try to keep it under 400 milligrams a day, which is roughly 4 cups of brewed coffee.
Good benchmark.
And it's also worth just acknowledging, hormonal fluctuations like during the menstrual cycle can directly influence cravings and mood.
Yeah.
So your dietary needs might genuinely shift throughout the month, and that's okay. Adjusting accordingly can be helpful.
Right.
But again, the big picture, while a healthy diet is a massive support for mental health, it's not always a replacement for medication if someone has clinical depression or an anxiety disorder. It's part of the toolkit.
An important part, clearly. It's amazing how many different angles there are: diet, movement, breathing, social connection. Are there other practical lifestyle shifts that can make a difference?
Oh, absolutely. Lots of smaller things add up. Think about boundaries, for one. Minimizing screen time, especially before bed. We know excessive use is linked to more stress, worse sleep. Learning to say no, creating boundaries around your time and energy. Being selective about commitments really reduces that feeling of being overwhelmed.
Saying no is hard sometimes.
It really is, but so important. Also, tackling procrastination, just breaking tasks down, setting realistic deadlines. It avoids that last-minute panic stress.
Yeah.
And then nature. Get outside. Seriously, spending time in green spaces, even just 10 minutes, in a park, a garden, by the water, studies show it improves psychological and physiological markers of well-being.
Just 10 minutes.
To make a difference. And don't underestimate simple pleasures or distractions. Listening to music you love, reading something light, watching funny videos, even chewing gum. These can act as little circuit breakers for anxious thoughts.
Little resets, exactly. Or engaging your senses in other ways, nice smells, textures. Some people create like a coping skills box with things that ground them: a smooth stone, essential oil, a comforting photo. Even mundane things like washing dishes can be grounding by focusing you on a simple physical task.
It really is a huge toolkit we can build. Okay, so we've talked about so many strategies, from hormones to diet to breathing to just getting outside. But what if someone listening has tried a lot of these things and they still feel completely overwhelmed? When does it become time to, bring in the professionals?
That is such a critical point, because sometimes behavioral changes, lifestyle shifts, they just aren't enough on their own. And that is perfectly okay. It's really important to talk with a healthcare professional, your primary doctor, a therapist, a psychiatrist. They can help determine if your symptoms might warrant therapy, medication, or maybe a combination. For women, especially, given the hormonal links we discussed, well, hormone therapy isn't like specifically approved for anxiety. It might be part of a combined approach explored with a doctor or OBGYN. Everyone responds differently.
Right.
Mental health professionals can offer that really tailored guidance. That might include personalized nutrition counseling, too, that takes into account your unique needs, maybe hormonal stuff, your overall well-being. It's about finding the right combination of support for you and your specific situation. Don't hesitate to reach out for that support.
Absolutely. Well, we have covered an immense amount of ground in this deep dive on anxiety and stress, especially for women. I mean, from the really intricate dance of hormones inside your body to the profound impact of your social world, even down to the food on your plate. It's so clear that managing anxiety is this multifaceted journey.
It really is. We've touched on, probably over 100 potential coping skills when you break it all down, from the big physiological shifts you get with breath work to a brain-boosting power of omega-3s and just the simple, maybe overlooked importance of things like cuddling your pet or, even washing the dishes sometimes.
The key takeaway, I think, for everyone listening is that you likely have more agency, more power than you might realize in cultivating calm and building resilience, even when things feel incredibly overwhelming.
Exactly. Which brings us to perhaps a final thought for you to consider. A question, really. Given all these unique factors we've talked about, the biological, the social, the psychological, how might you start to curate your own personalized toolkit, your own mix of coping skills and wellness strategies? Knowing, of course, that what works perfectly for one person might be different for you, but those underlying principles nourishing your mind, nourishing your body, those remain pretty universal.
Thank you for joining us today on the Calm and Clarity podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who would love it too. I'm Desmond, and until next time, keep growing, keep grounding yourself, and keep living with calm and clarity. We'll see you in the next episode.